Peace world. So here I am actually at one of the community gardens that I work with, and I just wanted to give you a quick tour of what's actually going on in the middle of June, is it? Yes, indeed. So we have about 18 beds going, which is dope. This garden was actually started about 3 years ago. We started with about maybe 8 beds. We stepped our way up to about like 12 to 13 last year, and then this year we're going all the way up to about 18 to 20. So I'm just going to give you a little tour of what's going on here. So this is the space. It's actually a very big space. If I turn around, it's in the middle of the neighborhood, of course. You can see all this space for community events and things like that. So it's a perfect space for us to grab for a community garden. It's right in the middle of the neighborhood. This building is actually unused. It was the New Haven Armory, very old historical building. It was used for a couple other purposes in recent years, but now it's like completely empty and ready to be actually renovated by potential buyers. So we're just sitting here utilizing this space since it's in the community and no one else is utilizing it, and we're turning it into a space for community to gather, not just to grow food but to just have community events. So if we look at our first bed, you'll see it's actually right here, and this is our lettuce bed that we just transplanted last week. As you can see, these lettuces look like they've just been transplanted, but if you dig a little deeper, you'll see that the soil is wet, so they'll be okay. They're just adjusting. We literally just transplanted these a couple of days ago. It's supposed to rain all week, so they will adjust. These were lettuces that were here last year, along with some cilantro, if you can see it. Yep, there it is. That's pretty dope. Over here, we have our watermelon beds, and in between we have our okra. You can see the watermelon right about there. That's pretty dope. We continue to move. We have a lettuce bed that's been established for a few more weeks than the other one. We actually thinned this one out and put the smaller plants into the bed that you just saw. It's a part of utilizing the space. When we seed it, we overseed it on purpose. We can technically use this density as cut lettuce, but we'll probably thin it out a little more to fill up the bed as the lettuce grows within the next week or so. If we go over here, we have our raspberry plants that we planted last year looking good. They're actually producing some raspberries, as you can tell, which is actually very dope. And on top of that, we have strawberries in the mix underneath the raspberry plants. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but hopefully you can. Yes, we are in the middle of the block, so you hear everything going on. Over here, we have our cucumber plants. Here are our cucumber plants, looking very lovely, as you can see. Very nice plants to grow. We're going to stake them and trellis them. They're going alongside these beautiful flowers that we call calendula. Actually, this is an edible flower. You can definitely make tea out of this flower. It's pretty, it smells good, and it's a companion plant, which means it helps other plants around it grow better by protecting it either from pests, enhancing the flavor, or protecting it from disease, among other things. So that's pretty dope. And then if we continue on to our next bed, you can see our green beans coming up, looking lovely. We have purple and yellow ones coming up. We also have lines of carrots that will be growing very soon, along with more calendula, different variety, as you can see with the color, but same purpose. Random lettuce. Over here, we just planted our tomato bed, which is looking very lovely actually. We just planted these last week, and the tomatoes are thriving. They'll grow soon. We'll stake them or trellis them, however we do that, and it will definitely be a wonderful experience. Good. Here we have our cabbage bed. This is a special type of Italian cabbage. The leaves, as you can see, it doesn't like head up like cabbage you usually get from stores. And in between is chard, and we also have some purple cabbage going that we just planted. So a bunch of other, again, calendula for companion planting purposes. Here, if you don't know, now you will know, these are our collard greens. And almost everyone I know is familiar with collard greens. That's the one thing they can't identify in the garden. As you can see, they're getting huge, very huge, so dope. Check it out. And so we actually have onions and scallions growing in between, as you can see. And what they'll do is they'll grow straight up as the collard greens spread along the bottom. So they go very well together as companion plants. And they help each other with pests and flavor. Back here is, of course, our kale bed. Everyone knows what this is, one of the most famous plants at the moment. And our kale is growing nice and lovely, as you can see. Dope. Dope, dope, dope. Over here, we have another carrot bed looking very lovely. Here we have our bell peppers, which are growing nice and lovely. We planted those a couple weeks back, and they're taking two. Over here, we have spinach in the corner, and we'll put some broccoli in the rest of this bed. Our eggplants are growing fairly well, as you can see. This is dope. Here we have our squash corn. We're going to plant some beans to grow up the corn stalk to mimic the three sisters. That is traditional to indigenous cultures in America. So that's pretty dope. I'll talk more about the three sisters in their own lesson, but it definitely is dope to be able to talk about and actually try things that our ancestors did for efficiency, and it's how they lived. Pretty dope. In general, the corn will grow up tall. The squash will be the ground cover to cover up the ground from too much heat, too much sunlight, and the beans will actually vine up the tall corn stalks, and they actually bring nutrients to the soil by something called nitrogen fixation, which is something I'll also be talking about in another lesson. But yes, our ancestors did that because they were just on point. Over here, of course, we have our garden box with our tools, and we have a shed for the bigger tools. Over here is our hot pepper bed. They usually grow a little slower than the other peppers, as you can see, but they're doing lovely, and I'm happy about that. We'll have a lot of hot peppers, a lot of hot sauce to make this year. And here we have our potato beds. We have two of them actually. One on the other side of that herb spiral. These are the purple potatoes. Then we have red potatoes. We're going to cover these up with more dirt, and everything underneath will definitely become space for potatoes to grow as tubers underneath the dirt. Here we have our herb spiral, and as you can see, we have like cilantro, parsley, dill. We have lemon balm, more parsley, thyme, chamomile, rosemary, sage. So we have all these things growing in our herb spiral, which is pretty dope. We created that ourselves. And again, here's the second potato bed with our red potatoes, I believe. And yeah, the garden. We actually have two senior beds for our community gardeners who are seniors and our veterans, and they just want the ability to plant their own things, which is dope. Most of our gardening is collective, so what we harvest, we divide up and take amongst ourselves evenly based off of what we want and what we don't want. And some gardeners literally just have their own beds because it just brings back memories of the good old days, of grandparents, of parents, of Southern culture. So we definitely support that as well. And that's pretty much the Armory garden that I work at. It's a pretty dope experience. As time goes on, you'll see everything thriving, and it'll just be an even more amazing experience. In the background there, we have our compost bins that we created, which is dope. So no waste. We're trying to be as sustainable as possible. So yeah, thanks for watching. Peace. Subscribe.